We are live, everybody. I'm going to open up my participant. I don't see anybody on there.
Yeah.
There we go. We're starting to get people coming in. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Got Dave Darrington and Fugi here at ServiceRocket. We're going to give everybody just a moment for this to start off. It's a little early for me, but depending on where you're at, what time zone you're in, everything's great. I see two people. Hey, Ben. Hi, Pauline. Welcome. If you have questions, please put them in chat. We've got more. Daniel. Again, we're just letting people join in at the top of the hour here. It's right at 7 o'clock my time, and we're just about ready to go. As you come in, please make sure you know this is Zoom where you have live. This is live session. For those of you that come in later, of course, the chat won't work, but please put your questions you might have in chat. I'll be monitoring them as well as Fugi and our host Steven. And we'll try to get to those. If we don't get them in the session, we'll get them right after.
All right.
Right. Give it one more moment here, and then we'll start off. Fugi, you are ready to go?
Yep.
All right. We've got more than a few people on. Let's begin. Okay, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining today. We're really excited to be talking about reducing ITSM complexity today. This is a new webinar series for us, and Fugi and I here are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to introduce ourselves right now. We are focused on bringing a scalable approach to enhance your Jira Service Management functionality. So before we get into it, how that's going to take place and what we're going to talk about, let's get off with the introductions. I'm Dave Darrington. I lead education programs here at ServiceRocket. ServiceRocket is a part of our education or a solution architecture team. And Fugi, introduce yourself, please.
All right. Thanks, Dave. I'm Fugi, and I'm the solutions manager in ServiceRocket UK, leading a group of consultants here. And I'm also in the solutions architecture group. And I've been with ServiceRocket for 13 years. 7 of those years, I was working in the Atlassian support organization. So you may have talked to me in the past in support tickets, but now here I am. I've been consulting and then now managing a group of consultants.
Awesome.
Happy to be.
That is awesome. And Fugi, that's why we have you on the show today, because of your deep experience. 13 years is a lot. So you've been there, you've done that, you've done all the things. And today we're going to start really breaking down into some things you might not have heard of. So before we get into that, let's go to the next slide and show a little bit about us here at ServiceRocket, who we are and what we do. Always like to say we are the leading provider of tech-enabled services. You can read the screen as well as I can. Over 20 years doing training and helping companies with their business, transforming complexity and getting things done. Pretty amazing. We've got your back. So we're going to lead with the we've got your back and step into this. Okay. With our agenda, Fugi, now it's time to bring it. What are we going to learn today?
Oh, we're going to learn about use cases with and without apps with JSM. I know some of you may not be aware of, like all of the things that you can do with just standard JSM out of the box, and also things that you can do with JSM with apps. So we're going to talk about that. And then that flows really seamlessly into the next topic, which is the governance side of things. You may be deploying a lot of customizations to your JSM, putting a lot of apps, adding custom fields. And we're going to go into some really fun topic. And I'm sure some of you will laugh at some of the administration experiences, all the horror stories that you've been through before. We're going to discuss that. And after that, we're going to talk about how to get help, because getting help for your apps can be quite tricky if you have ever dealt with Atlassian support, vendor support. Very complicated. We're trying to help make it easier for you.
Yeah, this is cool. Okay. So, Fugi, I'm going to again help to ask you some questions and guide you through this. Now, for our audience, we've done this before, and me entering and talking about this, I'm really excited about this session in particular because as a Atlassian customer, I use the products too. There's some real gems in here. So Fugia, let's start off with number one, JSM, Jira Service Management. We talk a lot about apps and no apps. Let's talk use cases. What are the things that we're, really trying to do here? Before we get into use cases, what is a use case?
Oh, good question, Dave. Thank you. Use case. Yeah, I'm sure it's a very complicated term. Use it, sporadically. We throw it here and there. But use cases are essentially scenarios and business flows that you're trying to achieve with Jira Service Management. One way of looking at it is how we do our workshops with our customers. Usually we start our workshops by understanding the customer's business flow from start to end. So from their customers raising a request to their Jira Service Management portal, it could be, hey, I have a problem with my laptop, all the way to an agent being assigned, fixing the issue, raising an incident, those kind of stuff, major incident, maybe a change request, like a change management request because they need to plan a downtime, all the way to resolution. Essentially, a use case is a scenario that makes somebody happy.
I like, that's the best. We should just leave with that because the whole term use case always confuses me. Okay, well, with that, I know most of you probably already know that, but it's good every once in a while you go, use case. Okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, cool. Now let's break into this. I know what you're going to start off a little bit with. Let's roll back into the apps, no apps thing. What are the pros and cons about having a JSM implementation? I think in this day we're prone, open up Google Chrome browser. I'm going to add apps to it, add all the mods to it. Tell me a little bit more about this as we step into it. Why should we have apps or not? What's going on?
Good question. And there's a slide for it. So without apps and with apps, you can already imagine the pros and cons in your head. Just by your experience with Google Chrome, I'm sure. Without apps, it's scalable, easy to maintain, no extra costs, right? Because with apps, you have to pay additional subscription, monthly costs, those kind of stuff. And it covers all common use cases. Essentially, all the use cases that is related to ITIL is covered by JSM Premium and Enterprise right now. Something that a lot of people don't realize is the fact that Atlassian has made a bunch of really strategic acquisitions recently, such as Insight, Proforma, Code Barrel, that makes JSM full-fledged, ready to go from the start, from the get-go without apps. But then with apps, you also have the extra advantages of extra features beyond standard, and enables bespoke customizations. And this is something that you can do with a bunch of apps that we will talk about. Some apps that I will talk about includes things like EasyBI that I've never seen any deployments of JSM that is deployed without EasyBI. So you can clearly see that that could be a potential acquisition from Atlassian side in the future.
So okay, you talk about EasyBI, and I think we'll talk about that again later, but the real question I have here is, okay, most people on this call probably already know, oh, I have an app, I do this. Now JSM is opening up and including all those out of the gate, which is really great. And that was kind of a magical thing. And now we don't have to add all those apps. We're going to talk about that. What are the common use cases or the common workflows that we're really trying to nail down now that JSM can start to address?
Oh, yeah. Good question. So usually, what you as an admin often get from your users is, I want to download this app. I want this app. I want to deploy this. And I can tell you my experience being an organization admin for a bunch of our customers, my inbox is filled with this kind of requests. So here, what I'm trying to tell you is actually a lot of these things that customers usually ask for can be accomplished using JSM standard. And usually before I even install any app, I ask the user what their goal is, because from understanding the goal, you can actually see that a bunch of these things can be done already, like the power of automation. This is from the, it's no longer recent. This is the Atlassian acquisition of CodeBarrel, which is the maker of automation for Jira. Some of you may remember what it is. Hands up if you remember what CodeBarrel was doing in the past. Yeah. It's
Good
yeah,
pull,
you have
yeah.
AKZ, nice. Okay, so you clearly have a lot of experience in this field. So CodeBarrel. Now you can do a lot of these things because of that acquisition. You can do standard integration with assets. And anyone knows where asset came from? Which acquisition was that?
Oh, wow. It's the bonus question.
Bonus question.
Type in the chat.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Wait for your answer, but
Insight, yeah, Matthew.
Oh,
Amazing, good job. Yeah, Insight acquisition that gave us assets. Now, with assets being default, you can imagine the bunch of stuff that you can do with together with that automation for Jira. And it's so easy to configure right now. In the past, integrating Jira Service Management with Insight Asset Management requires some sort of know-how about how to do automations within Jira. But right now, it's just seamless. You can see from the example here. Wait, my screen is completely covered right now for whatever reason. Okay, let me try to hide the floating video. Okay, so now you can edit asset attribute, like the example over here. When an issue is created, which is an incident, this is very common. We actually do this for quite a bunch of our customers. Right. When it's an incident, update the affected hardware's attribute inside to, let's say, incident detected or not active. And you can also create additional automation apart from that from within Insight to post, let's say, a status page message. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you can also do change management approvals. So this is something that some of you may be using really cool stuff like digital.ai to automatically approve low risk changes. But you can actually do that without additional expensive tools like digital.ai. You can actually use just simple automation when an issue is transitioned to authorize. In this case, if the risk is low, and I can also talk all day about how you can do change management with JSM, including how you can create really complex risk matrix based on the probability and the severity, easily using automation. But here's a good example of how you can auto approve low risk requests. And with approvals within Jira Service Management, the workflow approvals in JSM is really powerful. You can specify the number of people required before it moves to the next status. And this is something that if you're not aware of, it is a powerful feature. You don't have to use additional apps to do this. This is standard default Jira.
Yeah. So there's more.
There's more post functions.
So, what I want to break in real quick. So you've got already we've done automation rules, assets, approvals. Now we're getting into post functions. Like this again, I think what you're trying to tell us is out of the box, and this has been happening with more frequency over time. So now we don't have to go out to all those apps necessarily.
Correct. Yeah. And just like this simple feature of updating issue custom fields with post functions can achieve a lot of goals already. Like a lot of times, what are the common use cases? Like, for example, I want to auto assign an issue once it goes to in progress. Mm-hmm. Auto assign it to a developer, let's say. Right. You can do this using standard Jira Service Management. This is Jira standard, not even Jira Service Management. Just updating an issue custom field. In this case, the assignee assign it to a different person.
Right.
All right. Okay. And something that often people miss out on is triggers. And this is particularly something that has been used by many DevOps team. But if you're not aware of it, we have customers that actually do this manually. They have people monitoring repositories to see what kind of requests, what kind of pull requests have been created, what pull requests have been merged, which branches have been created, and then updating Jira issues. You don't have to do that, because once you build that integration to Bitbucket, let's say, anytime a pull request is merged, anytime a branch is created within your repo, it will trigger the correct transition within Jira. Really cool stuff.
That's great. And that's not it. We still have more.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one, which is SLA. It's easy to forget. Jira Service Management SLA. Now, a lot of people don't really customize their SLA. What they do is they just use the default time to first response,
Right.
and they don't really take advantage of the fact that you have calendars. So the combination of calendars with the goals that you can write with JQL, it really transforms SLAs. Like in this case, you can see here an example. We have UK working hours, APAC working hours. What this does is, if let's say the issue is created by a customer that is based in the UK, the SLA will count within 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Depending on what you want, you can actually specify this in the calendar. You can even specify off days. For example, if let's say a common example is for our Middle Eastern customers, they have their holiday on Friday and Saturday. So you can actually configure the calendar to not count when the issue is, let's say, created within Friday or Saturday, and it will start counting only on the Sunday, for example. So all of this is fully customizable. And if you combine these two together, you can really create like follow the sun model of support, which is really good for your teams.
Now, this is really cool. Okay, we've already said that a lot of this is all now out of the box, but I think the good follow-on question for that would be, Poogie, again, in context of who you are and what the kind of work we do, you know which apps are commonly being asked for, what ones we're always going to place. So just to humor us, let's go back to the ones that you've already started to mention. What are those apps you're commonly going to put in?
I've never, funny that you asked, I've never done any implementation of Jira Service Management without implementing EasyBI at the end. Usually customers say they don't need it at the start, but at the end, they usually saw the potential, and we like to demonstrate this with them as well. The potential that you can have from EasyBI. The standard Jira Service Management reports is already really good, but once you try out EasyBI with the MDX formulas, those kind of stuff, and you've experienced their good support, because EasyBI support is really amazing. They can help you out with all of these complex formulas if you're not sure how to code them for the first time. All you just need to do is tell them the goal of the metric that you're trying to report, and it can come out with the MDX for you. And also from ServiceRocket side, we've been working a lot with EasyBI over the past few years, and we have many consultants within the company that are very professional when it comes to writing MDX formulas. It's almost second nature right now. We can write a lot of different reports to showcase like all these kind of really cool stuff. The other cool thing, if you notice this screenshot over here within EasyBI, it allows your customers, I mean, not your customers, your stakeholders, it could be your executive. You just have to share the EasyBI dashboard with them, and then they can actually drill down into the report on their own. So they don't have to actually ask you to like, hey, can you show this report in a drill down manner based on the highest priority? Let's say the highest priority, I want to see what issue types are there, for example. You can actually use the drop down to show what they want to see. They can even click on this and it will drill down further within the report. Pretty cool stuff. It's all dynamic and customizable.
That's a good one. And that's like a no-brainer, because you've got really detailed graphs and charts and things like that you can add to jazz up your instance. So what else are we normally putting in? What other apps we commonly add in?
This is a good one. Hands up, if you don't have JSU or JMWE in your instance. I reckon if you have a Jira instance and you don't have JSU and JMWE, you are one of the rare instances in this ecosystem, because almost all Jira instance I have seen contains JSU and JMWE. I cannot see hands being raised. Are there any hands being raised? Anyone without JSU and
Yep, Holly
JMWE?
there. We've got one.
Holly, no JSU and JMWE. Interesting. Nice.
We've got a winner.
Yeah. Oh, once you try it out, Holly, you will be probably addicted to it. JSU and JMWE. It really expands on your workflow functionality. For example, you can, like in this case, this is create link issue, and not just creating link issue whenever an issue transitions to a different status, it can also copy certain custom fields, and this is fully customizable, easy to add. JSU is very easy to use. You just click on add configuration. And then if you want to go a step further, use JMWE. JMWE is Jira Miscellaneous. So sorry, I did not expand on the, we use this app so much in the ecosystem that we stopped using their full names, which is say JSU and JMWE. JSU is Jira Suite Utilities by AppFire, and JMWE is Jira Miscellaneous Workflow Extension, or very difficult to, it's a mouthful. But JMWE is a more powerful version of JSU because it allows you to also include like a scripting language, which is Nunjucks. They use Nunjucks in JMWE. Really cool name, right? Nunjucks.
Yeah, Nunjucks. That's great. You know what? Before you go on with that more, we also are offering our own class in JMWE that we build because we realize there's so much in it, and we'll show you some links to get signed up for that as well.
Yeah, and the reason why we can do that is because we are platinum partners with AppFire. AppFire is the maker of both JMWE and JSU. Cool stuff. And then this is another app that we see a lot in the industry right now. Is either Help or Help Desk Plus. Help is HALP, and then the other one is Help Desk Plus. Help Desk Plus is by our partners as well, AppFire. And this is essentially Slack integration, but on steroids. With this kind of integration, your agents and your users can literally work on a Jira Service Management issue without ever leaving Slack. Now, that's not something that I would recommend to everyone in terms of like, one of the metrics that we like to measure is Jira Service Management engagement in terms of the portal engagement from a JSM implementation. So usually when we have a JSM project with our customers, one of the key metric we measure is the portal engagement. Because once your users are used to the portal, it makes your life as a Jira Service Management agent a lot easier because it's easier to reply, it's easier to see all of the issues that is happening. And the context of the customer's message is not lost. They can see what's in the ticket itself. But with this one, it allows you to still perform all of those operations from within Slack. Really cool stuff. We probably don't have time to talk about this one because, just the demonstration of this app alone takes about 15-20 minutes from AppFire side. Yeah, it's quite I
don't want to interrupt. I know you have like a little bit more to talk about, but Matthew Norris had a question for you on EasyBI, if you saw that in the Q&A.
Oh, okay. What was the question? Sorry.
I'll read it out. It's Matthew said, what does EasyBI provide that out-of-the-box reporting does not provide? For example, does it provide a way to report on how the ticket was reported, phone, email, or portal, whenever you circle back to it? Or like we had a good break here for a question. I just wanted to pop that in. So
all right, thank you. That's a very good question, Matthew. So EasyBI allows extreme kind of modification to your reports. It's to the point that if you want, like for example, the 99 percentile, 95% confidence rating or confidence metrics for your MTTR, mean time to response, mean time to resolution, those kind of reports, it can do that using the MDX formula. But you don't have to go so far. Just by using EasyBI without customizing those kind of cool stuff, you will see the benefit over standard reporting already. Because standard reporting, if you notice, if you want to create, let's say, a report on how many issues were created that is incident, service request, you have to create a label for each, right? it takes time because you have to create one label for service request, one label for incident, one label for yada, yada, yada. What you can do in EasyBI is you just drag issue type and you drag issue created into that 2 row and column. Immediately the report is created and you can switch between pie chart, table, bar graph easily. And then you can drag and drop additional stuff on top of that. If you want to, let's say, see the assignee for issue type incident, you just drag and drop. Too bad we don't have a demo to show you right now, but you can always see EasyBI demo instance online. You can search for EasyBI demo and you can try to play around with that.
Cool. Thanks, Fugi. All right, you got a couple more, and then we're going to break into the second section here.
Yep. I probably won't have time to go too deep into all of this. Like, Dashboard Hub. This allows your customers to see really cool dashboard. I know your agents already created their own really cool dashboards by now if you're using JSM. One story that I can tell you is when I was working for this company here that does radiology, within us going live with JSM, within a week, the agents have already started creating their own dashboards. Really cool. Because dashboards on JSM is just so easy to create that users can really learn how to create their own filters and dashboards within like a week of using it.
Oh, wow.
And the cool stuff is, like dashboard is so cool, but your customers actually don't get to see it. So Dashboard Hub is where this app will come in and just, let's surface those cool items to our customers as well.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really cool stuff from AppFire. We are partnering with them. They have the end-to-end AppFire apps. Like I said, you cannot ever survive without JMWE or JSU. And they have a lot of these other apps that we don't have time to go through in detail. But maybe next time we can do a separate session.
Definitely. Well, I think there's a session in the future where you go, okay, well, here's the must-haves and here's the hows, and let's do a demo. That would be exceptional. Okay, this is a good point, Fugi, to transition a little bit. So now we talked about with apps, without apps. I think one of the meat of this discussion and the thing that I took away as we've been developing this is how we're going to use this system. We're going to get people into it. We're going to start adding apps or not. And we're talking governance. Now, this is a term you probably all know about this right now. Let's talk more about what are we trying to do here with governance? What are we trying to do with our instance? As a professional, you're doing this every day. Hey, I can add apps. I can not add apps. What's important about all this?
Sure. So governance is essentially to deal with this situation. I'm sure all of you, if you are Jira admins, tell me you've never heard one of your users asking for a new custom field. It's the most common request, right? All of you have received that at least once in your life. I want a new custom field. Can you install this app, please? I need this new status, right? Or insert Jira configuration. I need a new workflow. I need a new permission scheme, right? This is very common.
Yep.
But this is where governance is important, because you can essentially give people what they want and make everybody happy, but ultimately the instance will suffer in the long run. So this is why governance is there, to prevent that kind of crazy, free for all. Because I can tell you a story. I worked with a customer before where almost everyone in their organization is a Jira admin. And the reason for that is because the original Jira admins have been getting all of this, like, hey, I need a new custom field. Hey, I need a configuration change to my workflow. They got so fed up of that kind of request that they were like, you know what? All of you are admins right now. Do whatever you want. Create your own custom field, right? What they end up having is essentially an instance that went kind of haywire, and which is why we were pulled in to come and clean things up. And cleaning things up, to be honest, is much more complicated than preventing it in the first place. So prevention is better than cure. This is a common horror story. You may think that this is a once-off kind of thing. Maybe one enterprise customers have this problem. This is very common. instance takes 12 hours to reindex. During this time, searches are not functioning properly. Yeah, a bunch of really strange things happen when you're trying to reindex. You have to actually plan a downtime to reindex your instance. And the reason for that is simple. Too many custom fields, too many custom field contacts, and the list goes on. Too many issues as well. We're going to talk about some horror stories here. We worked with one instance that had 2 million issues before, and you can see the average actually is not too far off. The average number of issues per Jira instance for a large customer is 1.4 million. This is from the Atlassian database, and 5 million in one of the instance, the largest customer that Atlassian has, and they are growing 23% year on year. 4,800 custom fields. Imagine that. Imagine if you have 4,800 custom fields, how long would it take for you to figure out which custom field to add to your screen? Right? That's just one thing. The other thing is your search, because of how indexing works, your search will be really slow.
Yeah.
Indexing is slow, so the search itself is slow, might even crash the instance. Right? And then 71 marketplace apps. Imagine that. Okay, you can see here the top marketplace apps for Jira. Jira Suite Utilities, I mentioned there just now, JSU. The other one that I'm sure a lot of you have, tell me who here has Script Runner for Jira in their instance? Raise of hands, please.
Probably everybody. Nobody wants to admit it.
Yeah, well,
there we go, Greg. Thanks. Go.
Thank you.
But the point being, it's heavy, it's big, but it's powerful, right, Fugi?
It is powerful. It is powerful. It's almost to the point I would consider it almost is like hacking Jira, especially Script Runner for Jira on VC. It's as though you're hacking Jira because you have direct access to the Jira classes. Very risky to use, especially if you're trying to migrate to cloud. It's one of the items that will make the migration significantly longer. So just use it with caution. In a lot of times that we've consulted with our customers, usually when they are trying to migrate to cloud is when they start looking at their Script Runner for Jira footprint. And especially, things like behavior will not work. The behaviors in Script Runner for Jira will not work after the migration. When we're looking into their existing footprint, we realize that a lot of the things that they've been trying to do can be done using standard automation, which goes back to my first point on the use cases. Look at what automation can do, because chances are you may not even need Script Runner for Jira anymore. It saves you a lot of money.
Yeah.
The other one is JMWE, miscellaneous workflow extensions. JSU and JMWE are relatively lightweight compared to items like Script Runner for Jira. It's very risky to have Script Runner for Jira that is working on listeners. So just be aware of that. We have one customer that told us that whatever script we're going to write for them, we have a lot of Script Runner gurus within ServiceRocket. And whatever script we can write for this customer, they were telling us no listeners, because the last time they tried putting a listener script, it crashed Jira, because what listener does is it actually listens at all the events happening within Jira, and not just the event that you're limiting it to. Very interesting.
That is really interesting. And that's going to give you a lot of computational overhead.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then you can see here, I'm sure some of you have seen this before. You're trying to search for a custom field, let's say a system, right? And it returns 4 different fields, same exact type. You're not sure which one is which. You're not sure which one to use in your screen. It's very complicated. What ServiceRocket does is whenever our customer reach out to us for governance help and to clean up their instance, we look for this kind of, these are what we consider low-hanging fruit, very easy to fix. We just combine them into a single custom field, usually with multiple contacts. Use contacts as much as possible and try to reuse your existing fields. That's something that I will talk about in the next slide, I believe. Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle.
So this is, I think, Fugi, what we're alluding to here is you should be frequently auditing your own apps, looking at what you've got. You, by merit of all the work you do, have now this is a process why you're recommending all this stuff, because oh my gosh, your instance can get out of control. You're re-indexing, it's taking 12 hours. Sage advice, we all know it, but then it's like, oh gosh, we've got to say out, we've got to actually plan for this. So what are your tips on that?
Yep. Reusing. The most important tip is try to reuse as much as possible. We have one customer that we learned from. We never knew this was a thing in the past, but now we do it with all our customers, which is a dictionary of statuses and custom fields. So for this customer, what happened was they have, I think it was 2,000 plus custom fields in their Jira instance. So in one of the project, we wanted to suggest additional 5 custom fields, right? We're not very good at governance in the past. And then what happened was the Jira admin was like, no, you cannot have those 5 custom fields. You need to select from this dictionary of existing custom fields. Really good practice. So whenever we want a new custom field, we always search within that dictionary. And then we try to use a custom field with similar names if possible. This applies for statuses as well. Similar names and the same type. And then if we cannot find a suitable mix, we usually then have to write up like a business justification. And once you find the correct custom field, you can create a different custom field context. So it doesn't mean you have one custom field that you will only have one set of options. Some of you may know this, that you can have multiple different options by creating additional contexts assigned to different projects within your Jira instance. So you don't have to create multiple custom fields of the same time.
Where would you document all this typically?
It's good to document them in Confluence. That's
Yeah.
what our customers use. With Confluence, you can easily search through the custom fields. You can also document it in Google Sheets. But yeah, dog food your own product.
Dog your own, or drink your own champagne. But
exactly. Yeah.
So I've been in a whole kind. I mean, I used to be a DBA. I've done this stuff. So basically, you're saying, okay, if you don't have this, it's really good advice to create a dictionary indexing all of the fields. That way, we've got references and build referenced and build a process around it. So when you change those, you change them with intent.
Exactly.
It's good. It's good to remind ourselves. I'm sure everybody's like, yes, yes, yes.
Right. Another horror story. I use this app in at least 20 workflows and it's no longer supported now.
Yeah.
Has this ever happened to you? Any apps that you guys want to mention? That you've been using it in your organization maybe for the past 1 year or 2 years. And then suddenly the app vendor decided to disappear, or they decided not to support it in the latest version of cloud or DC. We've seen this before. And this is how you avoid those. Out-of-box functionality is always first. Remember when I mentioned the use cases? Try to identify, before you install any apps, identify the goals of that functionality and then see whether it can be achieved with out-of-box functionality, because chances are they can with some tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
The other one is avoid free apps. I know free is good. I love free stuff. Black Friday was there. Black Friday wasn't free, but I still love free stuff. Free apps is a trap, I would tell you. Free apps are usually a trap. They get you in, you install it, you've been using it for a few years, and then suddenly they're like, you know what? We're not gonna create additional maintenance versions anymore. You're on your own, figure it out. Some of our customers actually came to us because they need us to help build a similar app to something that they've been using that was free, but the app vendor disappeared, or the app vendor would just stop supporting the app.
Yeah.
So then our apps team, so ServiceRocket has a very strong apps team as well. We can create custom apps based on that. But just avoid that in the first place, because building custom apps can be quite costly. So check reviews, ratings, vendor reputation, see whether they've been treating their customers right. And with ServiceRocket, we always treat our customers right. We have our customers back. And the other thing is, remember to test in sandbox. Never test it in production.
Oh, it's no fun. Come on, test and prod, right? um, well, Fugi, this is a really good point to transition off to the last thing where we're going to talk about how do I actually get help with those things.
Yep.
You're trying to keep us off that road, but this is the thing I always get myself in trouble with too. Just like you said, it's a free app. I put it in and now things are screwed up. Where would you take us next?
Yeah. Getting help for apps can be quite difficult. I've worked in Atlassian support for 7 years. I can tell you all the stories of customers coming to us, begging us to help them. One thing I will tell you is you must know this is Atlassian support does not support third-party apps. Right? So if you face a problem, let's say you're trying to transition, this is a common scenario as well. You're trying to transition an issue from one status to another, and it just throws a generic error on the screen. You don't know what it is. You try to get the logs. Usually when you go to Atlassian support, the first thing they ask you is, hey, can you generate support zip, right? So that whole process for Atlassian support to ask you for support zip, waiting for them to respond, usually is about 3 days, 3 to 4 days if you're lucky, right? 3 to 4 days. Then Atlassian support then comes back and tell you, hey, you know what? We found a problem. It's caused by vendor X, which we don't support. Reach out to vendor X for support. Then you reach out to vendor X. Vendor X is like, yeah, technically the error points to our app, but it's actually caused by your other app. Imagine if you have 71 apps, right? Then vendor X says, no, you know what? It's vendor Y. Then that whole process is 2 days or 3 days. And then finally you go to vendor Y. Vendor Y is like, yay, bingo. Definitely our fault. We're going to fix it, issue a new version of the app. That whole process is now 8 days. You probably lost 8 days in total from start till end.
You can't afford that kind of time, and it's an explosion of complexity for troubleshooting.
Exactly. And this is why we have an offering within ServiceRocket. We have the managed services support team. And what we do is we support everything within your Atlassian ecosystem. Whether you have Bitbucket, you have Confluence, Jira, we support everything. You have any apps that you have, Script Runner, even Script Runner, we help you write those scripts. If your scripts are not working fine, we help you troubleshoot and fix it from our end. All of that, your apps, all the Atlassian applications, from one single portal. So you just have to reach out to support at ServiceRocket.com, to your own support account. So all of you, once you subscribe to managed services, I believe you have your own support email. Just reach out. You come to the right place. We help you end to end.
Yeah, that works really well. And we've got some links we can show about that. But yeah, our managed services is fun because now you're just talking to Fugi, right? Maybe not you every time, but there's a lot of folks.
No. It's a huge amount of team spread across the globe. A lot of team members.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's take it to the next slide. Again, if you have any questions here, now's the time. We've got about 15 minutes. We're gonna start slowly wrapping up. But in closing notes, I put some links in here. We probably should copy and paste them into the chat. But to talk about the managed services, exactly what you said, Fugi. If any of you out there are struggling with really complex implementations, migrating cloud, I've worked in managed services for a long time and over the last couple of years, and it's been fun. Anything you want to tell us about the managed services as far as anybody have any questions for Fugi about this? Feel free. I'll go ahead and talk about the next couple of things. Also, we have a Fugi. Can you click on some of these while I'm talking through them?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go to the page. Let's go to the managed service page. So any of these links, and Steven, I know you're in the background. I can't click and copy and paste these into the chat. So if you can help us with that, that'd be great. Here's our managed services page. We do all kinds of stuff, not just Atlassian, but we also consult on training. We do some other services as well. So go check that out. Fugi, can you go to the next link, please?
Yeah, sure.
I want to talk to you about something brand new that I'm super excited about. Again, it's early for me here, so you might see me as not having as much energy as I normally would, but we've relaunched our new training hub. Now, for those of you who, this is kind of a taste of what we're doing in a more fun format, but if you really want to sit down and talk nuts and bolts, we do offer conventional Atlassian training, and we're partners with Atlassian, so we can do this. But now we're also opening up some new training sessions. These are, of course, paid sessions coming down. Yeah, keep scrolling down. Thank you, Stephen. Now you can see our upcoming training sessions that we run ourselves. But what you're seeing down at the bottom here is something special nobody else is doing. Well, maybe somebody. Here's the JMWE session that Fugi referred to. We're really excited about running this. We're doing it in the US and APAC. This is our own creation. It is, we've been ran it several times. Sign up for this if you want to learn way more about JMWE. That's super exciting. Okay, let's go to the third link on the page. And again, Stephen, thank you for linking that. We have even more that we're doing here. If you want to do, if you find your company wants to do a lot more training for your own people, let's say you've got a large team, they need to use, end users need to use Jira, they don't know what they're doing, or Confluence, you need to have deep dive administrative, all those classes you just saw. We have subscription packages now, and we're releasing more and more classes as we go. So again, why ServiceRocket? We do training because we started off doing training for Atlassian over 20 years ago. That's how Rob started the company, and we're getting back to our blood. So again, this was just a teaser. Sign up for some of our classes. We're going to have a lot of fun. Anything else you want to say about this? Fugi, you've been helping design some of the stuff and getting into the nuts and bolts of how we really can crush things with Atlassian products.
Oh yeah, we have the full set of experience, and something interesting is also we also help write some of the certification exam questions. So I myself am in the certifications panel. So something that we may come up in the future is also tips and tricks and on how to get you to pass your certification exams.
Ooh, I think a cohort
From the insider knowledge.
a cohort study group is what you do. Maybe that's a good idea. Actually, we never thought about that.
Yeah.
That would be exceptional because working with you and others, it's been blowing my mind. I remember using Jira when it first came out, and I'm dating myself. So I used to work in IT, and I used to use it every single day, and now it's such a different product. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey everybody, we're wrapping up now. So this is the time where we have time for Q&A. Anything we talked about today, any specific questions, apps, if you've got questions, let me look in the yeah, Matthew, yeah. Is there an email list for that? Yeah, study groups are great. We may do that, but yeah, reach out to us and ask the question. Send us your email and I could talk to you more about it. Okay. If there's any other questions, we have time here. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is start taking us out for the day. We'll stick around for a few minutes after this just to answer. Okay. Once again, thanks for joining us today. We're going to have a lot more webinars. This is our first return into the world. We've got some more scheduled with different folks in different areas, and we'll be refining these as we go. So, Fugi, what do we say here at ServiceRocket again? What's our mantra?
We've got your back.
Yeah, but there's something even better. I like yours.
If you can dream it, we can build it.
There you go. All right, team. This has been great. Thank you all for joining. Thank you even more for sticking around. Fugi is a sage here, and I'm just your MC. So you can see Fugi many more times coming up. I think even we were talking about doing a information architecture session at some point in the near term.
Information architecture. I love it. Information architecture.
What are the just as we're sticking around here, opening up for questions? If you were to do an IA session, again, this is unscripted, folks. So I'm putting Fugi on the spot. What are the kind of things in that session that you would really want to tell folks, or those of you in the audience? What are kinds of things that you would be really interested in having a deeper dive training on? There we go. So I'll let you cue you off.
Oh, so for the information architecture session, we will be looking at how you can structure Confluence. I know Confluence is almost the often neglected product, the
Yeah.
black sheep of the family. It's not a black sheep, it's actually a really powerful product. 7 years of my life in Atlassian support was mostly on Confluence. I love it, true and true. It's really powerful if you structure it right. And the problem is whenever we are asked to do Confluence consulting with our customers, when we enter, the first thing we realize is everything is structured off. It's really strange. That makes it very difficult to look for things that you want to look for, and also figure out where to put an item. You know, like you've been working on a page, you've been working on a blog. You're like, where should I put this, right?
Yeah.
Question. That's what we are trying to resolve with information architecture. Once you know the concept and the structure, the best practice, you will realize that you will create a Confluence instance that is very lightweight. It's to the point that when your users log in for the first time, they just get to what they want to see. It's almost like Facebook algorithm or something.
That's great. I know that I was even on a recent implementation. We were actually doing training. We were developing training, and we put the training in the Confluence for the customers, so we didn't have to use an LMS. But that was a lot of fun because it was it wasn't something I would have expected to do, and they had a very clean Confluence instance. It was great. Tune-ups, making things better, decreasing clutter, improving efficiency. That's what we do here. All right, I don't see any more questions, but I did see some comments here. Greg, thank you for your tips. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Will the video be shared by email? Stephen is responding to that, but we should have a link to the recording. We are obviously recording and sent that back out. Any other questions in our last moments here? We can again stay on for a few more minutes. Some of you are sticking around. Anything goes right now. If you got another question about all of the applications that we talked about today, Fugi, anything else that you would bring up in the last few minutes? Other pro tips that we haven't brought up yet? Carried a lot.
So many things in my head. I don't know where to start.
What's the absolute worst app that you see out there that we think we need, but don't? Maybe that's a good pop question.
Ooh, the worst app.
Like,
That's a very risky question. I try not to get into because I don't want. I love our partners.
Yeah, no, we're not going to criticize, but maybe the most complicated and technically sophisticated app that you probably don't need all the time.
Yeah, Script Runner will be the one. I think. Yeah, people are usually tempted to install Script Runner for the sake of it. Like, I might need it in the future. That's a common thing. I don't need it now, but I might need it. So, and then I'm trying to create like a quote for an annual subscription. So I don't want to like go back and ask for a different quote from Atlassian.
Yeah.
So that's why some people will just like, you know what, include Script Runner in there. And then they start using it. The problem is once you install an app, your users see it, it's there. The project admins, they see it's there. They will start writing scripts. And then before you know it, at the end of the year, you have scripts everywhere. And then when the scripts stop working, who are they going to reach out to the first? They're going to reach out to the Jira admins, right? Thinking it's the Jira admins' fault. Yeah, that's where a lot of our Jira admins are stressed out. They are stressed because of Script Runner scripts. Yeah, just be careful with that one. Because Script Runner scripts are very difficult to fix once they fail.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing against the app. The app is powerful. I love it. I myself am write Script Runner scripts all the time. Yeah, whenever there is always that, that strange use case that cannot be achieved by any other apps, then we go with Script Runner. But first out of box functionality before you then look at other apps, and then if all else fails, Script Runner.
Script Runner. Good tips. All right, and with that, we don't have any further questions. Fugi, Stephen in the background, everybody in the audience, thank you so much for joining today. We'll have more of these. And again, we're spreading our wings, starting some new stuff. So stick with us. Come on back, and we'll teach you some more goodness. Thank you, everybody. Remember, we got your back. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.